Ganymede?
Ganymede.
Ganymede. Okay, I'm getting better. I feel like I'm getting closer every time. Like I'm still wrong, but it's like less wrong than the previous time.
You need to have like a, something you remember, right? So like mead.
Mead. God. Like what am I, like I like how
It's
I thought
italicized in the like pronunciation explanation, so that's what I imagine.
I thought you were gonna mention something like ready on a sticky note. I'm like, well, that's the same problem. I'm reading the freaking name. I just don't know how to pronounce it.
I don't know.
But okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Team Liquid Map Contest. We are almost through with the tournament. We got this best of 3 and then a best of 5 grand finals to wrap it all up. I hope you've enjoyed the map so far. We have seen every single map at this point, and if you have any strong opinions, good or bad, I highly recommend posting them on Team Liquid. Because again, a lot of these maps are going to be under review for possible fixes, maybe resubmitting them for future map contests, or I don't know the rules of how this works, but I know that I've already seen a couple I definitely want to throw back into any show match prize pool or map pools that we run here on Base Trade TV. There's been a lot of really cool games so far on them, but that being said, I think every single map we've seen could use a bit of refinement. None of them are quite perfect. And without further ado, spawning here at the southern location of the map, we have our blue protest player representing the Kappa clan. See what Flash Wolves parting.
The top position as the red Zerg. It's SortOf.
Alright, SortOf opens pool first. I think this was a smart move against somebody like PartinG, who has got 4 what is potential cannons. Now, just like other maps, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to cannon. I still think even in the best spot here, you'd still need 4 pylons, no matter how you play this out.
Yeah. Looks like it. Which one's the map that had the maybe with the debris? Like,
I think that was Echo, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it had the debris field. Pylon block field, one way or the other, not bad. Because I guess one thing we hadn't really thought about when it comes to cannons, because we're focusing on like the potential cheese in a natural base, is that the 3rds and 4ths are incredibly far away. And deterring a natural base and forcing a Zerg player, any Zerg player, to take this 4th base quick, ugh, it's like Cloud Kingdom. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, not so much. Not so much.
Actually, I didn't even realize that does remind me. That's kind of like a top of my head thing, but this actually does kind of remind me of Cloud Kingdom's natural to 3rd to 4th layout.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, the 3rd base isn't so bad. You would take the 3rd base anyways, but any early aggression, a pylon's very easy to put there. This might be abusable, but this might be abusable by cannons.
Ah, maybe, but the Lings are already out and looking, so I don't think this will get too out of hand.
He would certainly have to wall himself up, and then even then, it's probably not going to happen. As long as the Lings are looking at all, they're going to find it. I would have preferred he had kept this in like the bottom right and put a pylon down. He was planning on doing any aggression, but I guess he just wanted to get a scout back in. So, there he goes. Oh!
Nice pickup. No. Alright, so some jokes were kind of made too, by the way, during the last set, saying, oh man, doesn't matter how tired Party is, he can pull off these builds, these strats in his sleep, and most of the time I'd like to just write that off as a joke, but I really do feel that's almost the case. For somebody who's done 3-gate Blink Stalkers for the majority of his life, I mean, it's probably pretty easy for Party to take some general approaches to the maps, but the argument I would make, and this really goes back to that last game, that pylon placement was so sick. Maybe there's a small chance that it was just luck, but I'm pretty positive he realized, like, oh, there's rocks right there, and it's a shallow cliff. I can actually use this so effectively. Here's
how he knew. He played in our 2v2 tournament.
Nailed it. I don't know what this is in reference to, but nailed it.
The old country or whatever, where the rocks are in between, and the only way that you can abuse it is you put a pylon right up next to the rocks, and then you can help out, your Reaper-going Terran friend.
I like to... We talk a lot about the other players from the 2v2 tournament, but PartinG was one of the other guys who really said he enjoyed his time on it, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even the players who, like, win our first place prizes for the tournaments, like, the way it ends is pretty much, thanks for the money, goodbye, invite me for the next tournament. But the 2v2 tournament is the only tournament we've ever run where players actually took the time to contact us afterwards and say, hey, by the way, like, I had a lot of fun. I hope you do more.
Nice. Well, the Stargate positioning looks like it would be kept a secret if it was this far back on any other map, but it would have been right next to the Overlord, so not so much. Does sort of actually see it, though, with the Overlord? Yeah, he sees it. In fact, he sees that it's an Oracle on the way. These colors are so faded, man. The lighting's really messing me up.
I'm liking it. Just it feels more chilly with the almost underworldy with the faded
It
colors.
just feels older. It feels like it's like either we're losing our eyesight because we're getting so old, or we're watching on like really old monitors that are faded. No? No one else? Okay.
I don't really see that effect to it, because I guess the...
You haven't watched nearly as many old monitors as I have. My grandparents had an old TV that was like 20 inches, like, you know, deep, and it was just tinted green its entire life.
Gotta get that, my CRT game on, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Oh, third base taken from PartinG. I almost called him Kappa. Kappa Park.
I don't think that would be too far off from like, an accurate nickname for him, though. I feel like that is PartinG in a nutshell. Like 3 blank stalkers show up to your base, and he's just like Kappa. Makes that face in real life. Well, the Oracle doesn't get a lot done, but the Void Ray follow-up is particularly interesting to me now. He will use this to clean up Overlords, but the question is, does he invest in more than this? It's looking like a pretty stark no because of the investments to the ground upgrades, but ruling out 2 or 3 Void Rays, you don't have to go 19 deep to make these really strong in the early game.
Well, it's going to be very helpful defending against any of these Roach attacks. He saw a Roach run go down, but as we see, it's not really going to be a Roach attack. He's getting every other tech in the book right now. But it's a very wide area to cover. You don't want to be throwing force fields down in the middle of your natural and your third. A Void Ray parked there will do the job.
Not to mention, Prismatic Alignment just shreds through Roaches like nobody's business. But the Void Ray does come out. Looks like he's not producing anymore. Oh my god, Prismatic Alignment. You're so gorgeous, but I hate you.
Is it even necessary? Everyone's going to die either way.
You know what? I'm going to make the argument and say yes, actually, because that Overlord could have seen Chronos go into the blink. He might have known about extra gateways coming down. It sounds silly because it's the difference of 2 seconds, but maybe.
Yeah, pro.
Oracle Fund's a pretty sick spot to hide in, by the way. Gets about 5 kills while this goes on.
What the hell is going on in that? Oh, it's like water? I guess it's like water.
What are we looking at here?
The top right where the Oracle was, there's like the plants and stuff.
Yeah, it's the water
like,
containment.
it's like a jacuzzi.
You know what I always hate about this? Look at the birds. This always never made sense to me. They're probably not going to show right now because they just disappeared. But yeah, some of the birds will fly out of the biodome. That makes no sense to me because like, that can't be safe.
It's not a very good biodome if they're letting birds out and in.
I know, the point is like everything's supposed to be self-sustained within the dome, not outside the dome. The Oracle will die in the main, but also confirm a good chunk of Hydralisk before doing so.
It's the movie biodome. Everything went to shit really quickly.
Oh, that was such a dumb movie. Don't even.
No, it's an amazing movie.
That humor, that era of humor, just I never got it, man. Like I was just barely too old to appreciate and too young to really understand. Like whatever.
My brothers watched it. And my brothers are around the same age as you, right? And they made me watch it, and I love that movie, and they love that movie. So I don't know. I don't think it's an age thing.
Okay, well, Void Ray is not going to get a lot done right now going across the map on its own. But it can defend against Roaches pretty nicely. It'll pick off small amounts of Lings. But it's not Roaches and Lings you really have to worry about. It's a lot of Hydralisks coming out of SortOf. He's got upgrades behind this too. So PartinG's going for Storms rather than Colossus, which is kind of cool. This can work really well versus Hydras.
It's going to work out very well against, I think, what SortOf did here. SortOf is on, you know, he's on 3, but it's going up to 4 bases right now. Only 1 upgrade. He's getting up to Vipers pretty darn fast, is kind of my point here. And I think PartinG had enough Hallucinated Phoenix to see that. And if you're already if you don't already have 1 or 2 Colossus, and they're already going to have Vipers, what's even the point? They're going to get pulled, and you're going to be screwed. So just go up to Storm, use good force fields. It'll work.
I like the cannons, again, with the triplicate of the third, but PartinG, I don't know when he stuck his pylon out here, but he's getting pretty good use of it. Should get a cancel. Sadly, it's not a kill, but I don't think he would have gotten a kill anyways because so many Roaches out.
I think that Warper's going to buy more time. The Vipers are out and SortOf is max. He's not waiting for any upgrades. He's just going to go. But PartinG, he has Storm. He has feedback.
Yeah.
He has a lot of Storm, too.
Feedback is normally so critically important, but I feel like it's not that big of a deal in this instance. There's so many forces that can lock this off, and disengage is pretty easy for PartinG. But if it's a forced out fight, oh, and if Ducks come down, maybe. Ducks a sentry, that's kind of cute. It looked like a soccer ball. But the Storms are starting to layer down. We got some Blinding Claws hitting nothing, actually. That's a bit weird, but the Hydras only barely have 80 health. They can barely take the damage on these Storms. However, there might just not be enough. The Roaches, of course, can take hits for days because they got so much health, but You know, there's no mortals out behind this. He's got a good chunk of stalkers. They got +2 weapon upgrades, but will this work? He's holding on well for now, but his supply, his army supply, is half that of his opponent's.
Yeah, I feel like that is what... I just assumed that he had 2 immortals in there, but that's what was really missing. The roaches last 2 storms. Hydras don't. But
yeah, but you know what?
They don't last 2 immortal shots.
He doesn't really lose a lot through this, right? Like, the Templar actually lived to become the Archons. I think he lost a gateway or 2 at the front. But ultimately, this wasn't too bad of a defense. SortOf didn't really get to the mineral lines. He didn't touch the critical parts of PartinG's base. And PartinG set up for a counterattack with +2 weapon upgrades.
I don't know why he's rallying in with just a handful of roaches. Yeah. But now he is getting his immortals, and he does have +2 weapons as well. So SortOf, he wasn't exactly like a booming economy. The 4th just finished. It's not really mining. It's up to like 80 drones, only at 66. He's got to reinforce quickly, and not with the greatest units against Blinkstalker Immortal. Well, there's no sentries, so that might be okay. Good Blinding Cloud? Yeah, great Blinding Cloud.
I'm sorry for those. I'm gonna miss this by a lot of people. I wasn't trashing Biodome. I just said I didn't like the movie. It's like not my flavor. I'm sorry.
Wow, people got really upset about that?
Yeah, I got some pretty hateful messages, man. Not just on Twitch. I know a lot of them were jokes, just making jokes, but Jesus. Too sober to be a Polly Short fan, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, the Blinkstalkers going forward will pick off those Vipers nicely done, but the Blinding Clouds keep them from fighting too effectively. But the Immortals going through this will punch holes through those Roaches, and SortOf doesn't have enough Hydras to hold this on its own, and it's looking very much with an Archon drop at the 4th. PartinG may have just won this game through this attack.
Oh, looks like it. SortOf has 17 more Roaches on the way.
Ah, that's what kills me though. SortOf has managed to... His army supply is always greater in all of these engagements, but he just can't take effective fights. I guess the problem with Roaches. So big, so strong, so inflated. The Archons actually do kill the base. It's going to float towards the main. No, the natural with them. And if he responds with any amount of the Roaches or the Hydras, that's the cue for PartinG to go in. And while this goes on, by the way, PartinG takes a 4th. Pretty nonchalantly.
Yeah. Another problem I can see is SortOf, you know, he still has to deal with this army that's getting better and better, while his is really not. In fact, he lost his Vipers, so his is getting worse. He has no transition into something better.
Yeah, that is the problem. I mean, like, what do you really do with SortOf in this situation? Like, he had a bit of momentum on that attack. Do you think he just stayed too long? Do you think he dedicated too much? Fungal Sue, yeah, Fungal would be great when you
a lot of it had to do... Yeah, a lot of it had to do, I think, with the rallying Roaches in the middle of the map. He should have just, like, you know, really just hightailed it out of there. The Blinkstalkers would have chased some down, but he actually engaged. I don't know if that was really good or not. Seriously, like, these constant holds have been, you know, the difference makers could have been 10 Roaches, 5 Hydras, and instead it was PartinG who kept on winning them.
Bloody blinks out of this guy. It's just, it's his rabbit in a hat. He always just pulls it out and surprises everybody with it, and SortOf will sadly fall. We will get a PvP finals. Best of 7. PartinG will move on to fight against Arthur in the grand finals. First, we did a good job of avoiding mirror matchups today, but ultimately, gonna have to cast one.